Hello, Mary. Have you heard the news? Your mother is getting married again. Aunt Nina's excited voice shattered the silence in the apartment. Mary closed her eyes, feeling weary, and let out a heavy sigh. It seemed as if the world had lost its mind. Yes, Aunt Nina, I know, she replied, striving to keep her voice steady. Oh dear, maybe this is her last shot at happiness. Who knows, she might even give you a little brother or sister. Aunt Nina chuckled, clearly amused by her own joke. Mary grimaced. At 28, the idea of her mother, Sarah, becoming a mother again felt utterly ridiculous. Thanks for calling, Aunt Nina. I'll pass on your congratulations to Mom, Mary said flatly before hanging up. Why did she even call me? Mary muttered, staring up at the ceiling as she sank back into her chair. Her relationship with her mother had always been strained. Sarah never deemed it necessary to pay much attention to her daughter, especially after her father left, choosing instead to drown her sorrows in alcohol. After the divorce, Sarah had blamed Mary for her father's departure. He had tried to gain custody, but Sarah insisted she could raise Mary better on her own. He moved away, and his financial support was the only thing that kept Mary from going hungry during her childhood. It was her father who had helped her through school and set her up in life. Sadly, he passed away 5 years ago, leaving her a dacha where she now sought to piece her life back together. Mary's marriage to Anthony lasted 3 years, but as soon as she hinted at wanting a child, he changed. He started to withdraw, arguing and avoiding her. Unsurprisingly, they divorced. Since she had lived in Anthony's apartment, she was forced to pack up and relocate quickly. Her father's inheritance proved invaluable, providing a space where she could finally breathe and unwind. The only thing that brought her any joy was her remote job, which allowed her to earn money until the very last moment. After that, she knew she would need to figure something out. When she broke the news of her divorce and unexpected pregnancy, her mother's reaction was anything but supportive. Why did you leave him? Sarah asked over the phone. Mom, Anthony left me. He was terrified of responsibility. I told you this? Mary replied, frustration creeping into her voice. Yes, I must have forgotten. Sarah rarely paid full attention to her daughter. I'm not going to terminate the pregnancy. I have some savings in the dacha from Dad. I can manage, Mary insisted. A heavy silence hung in the air. Are you sure that's a wise decision? Her mother finally asked. Of course, Mom. I'm almost 30. I want to be a mother. I'm not asking anything from Anthony. I can handle this myself. Mary, have you lost your mind? Do you even realize what a burden this will be? People will turn their backs on you, and you'll be left all alone. And then there's the child. Who would want to deal with you and a kid? You'll be waiting until they're grown to start a personal life again. Mary felt tears welling up. Unable to contain her anger, she snapped back, Yes, Mom, I know. But having a trailer didn't stop you from finding new men. You didn't even wait 2 months after your divorce before bringing someone else into the house. I remember them all. I'm not taking advice from you. That's all the news I have. Bye. Mary hung up without waiting for her mother's response, feeling a weight in her chest. Once again, her mother had made it clear that she was unwanted, and the pain stung deeply. Mary vowed that her child would never feel that way. She would provide a life filled with love, care, and support. Weeks passed, and Mary slowly began to settle into the dacha. It was challenging, but she was managing. Then, one evening, her mother called her, a rare occurrence. Yes, Mary answered cautiously. Hi, daughter. I need to talk to you. Sarah's voice sounded off, almost strained. What's going on? Mary braced herself. Tom scratched an expensive car, and the insurance company cheated him. You know how it is. You're a new stepfather, and I urgently need money. Sell the dacha, her mother slurred, demanding. Everything will be transferred to me. It took Mary a few moments to grasp what she had just heard. Meanwhile, her mother continued to ramble on about how poor and miserable Tom was. Mary was preparing to unleash a full-blown tirade, but all that came out was a stunned, "Are you serious?" "Daughter?" Sarah replied, clearly confused. "I will not sell the dacha to give money to your man. I'm about to have a child, and you expect me to end up homeless? Do you even hear yourself?" Mary's voice rose with anger. "Mary, don't make me angry. Tom can. I don't care what he can do. I inherited the dacha from my father. It has nothing to do with you. And your Tom has even less claim to it. I'm done. The dacha is mine, and I won't let you set foot in it. If you want to get away, by your own," Mary declared, her resolve hardening. With that, she hung up and began pacing the room, frustration coursing through her. How could her mother ask for such a thing? Sarah hadn't given her a single penny in the last 15 years. Her father had sent money for food and clothes while Sarah drank and partied with her suitors. And now she wanted Mary to sell the dacha. Unbelievable, Mary muttered to herself. Tossing and turning, she lay awake for most of the night, her nerves on edge. It wasn't until the early hours that sleep finally took her. A few hours later, she was jolted awake by the sound of her phone ringing. Without checking the contact, she answered, "Yes." "Mary," it was Aunt Nina's voice, filled with indignation. "What's going on?" From her tone, it was clear that Aunt Nina was ready to scold her. Mary stifled a yawn and sat up in bed. What happened? It seemed her aunt had been waiting for the perfect moment to unleash her frustration. "Mary, how could you do this to Mom? Sarah devoted her best years to you, and now you won't help her during a tough time. She's finally found happiness, and you're about to ruin her marriage. Can't you see the situation? You're still young. You'll have plenty of time to earn money for a house while living in a rental. Sarah needs the money more than you do. Why are you always so ungrateful? Mom raised you, fed you, and educated you. You have to support her." The silence on the other end of the line made Mary realize that Aunt Nina was running out of steam. "Aunt, you know exactly what Mom is like. You've seen her parties and the endless parade of suitors. What are we even talking about when it comes to her upbringing? What am I supposed to be grateful for? That she squandered her money on alcohol. If it weren't for Dad, I'd have gone hungry." Aunt Nina scoffed in disapproval. "Don't bring that up. Enough. I won't allow anyone to slander my father's name. I'm not selling the dacha, and you can tell Mom that." Mary had gotten into the habit of hanging up before the other person could respond. Why can't they just leave me alone? We live in different cities. For the next 3 weeks, her relatives wouldn't let her have a moment of peace. They incessantly called, demanding that she sell the dacha and support her mother. Where were they when my mother bullied and humiliated me, depriving me not just of love but of freedom? A thought flashed through Mary's mind. She even had to change her phone number to escape their relentless calls. The next 2 weeks passed quietly, though Mary battled nausea and the heavy workload. It was challenging but manageable. Then, early Saturday morning, her peace was shattered once more. The doorbell pulled her from a deep, restful sleep. Groggily, Mary slipped on a robe and went to greet the unexpected visitors. "Mary," Sarah said curtly, nearly pushing her way inside when her daughter cracked the door open. "Meet Tom." She gestured toward a man standing behind her, thin, pale, and exhausted. He bore a striking resemblance to Sarah, making Mary feel queasy. "I came to have one last calm conversation with you." "Sell the dacha," Sarah demanded. "No," Mary said firmly, holding her ground. Sarah sniffed and crossed her arms defiantly. "Mary, this will only make things worse for you." "And how exactly?" "I'll sue you for the dacha, and Tom is very strong. You really won't want to be in the same room with him, Mary. I care about you. Don't push Tom to do something that will allow me to inherit the dacha." Mary stared at her mother, stunned. The last remnants of love she had for this unbearable woman turned to dust. Gathering her courage, she replied, "It won't work. You just don't know Tom. He just got out of prison. Daughter, please just agree to our terms. Mary let out a bitter laugh. Mom, I've already written a will. You can't contest it. If I die, the dacha goes to Uncle, Dad's brother. And just so you know, there are cameras outside the house. The police will know it was you who committed the crime. She stepped into the kitchen to drink a glass of water, mentally counting the seconds. She needed to distract them, to lure them into a trap. Oh, you ungrateful child. Is this how you repay me? I dedicated my life to you, and you want to give the dacha to that man. How could you do this to your mother? Tom stood silently in the corner like a shadow, and Mary began to wonder if he even knew how to speak. During another round of her mother's tirade, they were interrupted by the arrival of uniformed officers. Mary, did you call us? Yes, these people are threatening me. I have a recording of the conversation. What? Sarah gaped at her daughter. What have you done? Protected myself. I think your husband will be leaving again. As Sarah lunged at Mary, the officers restrained her. Tom, rushing to defend his wife, was also detained. In that moment, Mary felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for her father, who had installed a panic button and cameras at the dacha. Though he wasn't there, he had saved her once again, just as he had when she was a child. On the way to the police car, Sarah hurled curses and insults, but Mary didn't care. She felt nothing for her anymore. Mary had to navigate through a lengthy process of court hearings and bureaucratic red tape. Ultimately, Tom was convicted, and she obtained a restraining order against her mother and her husband. Now, Mary was safe. Several months later, as her belly began to round, she tenderly stroked it while sitting on the dacha's veranda. An elderly neighbor, who had become a close friend during this time, sat beside her, sipping tea. You know, Mary, he said, looking at her with warmth, I see you and think what a fine girl you are. A strong, brave girl. Your father would be proud of you. Thank you. You know, I really think that somehow Dad still cares about me. This dacha, it feels like he left me guardians. The neighbor gently patted her hand. That's right, dear. Now let me help you set up the nursery. Your baby deserves the best. Mary nodded, warmth spreading through her heart. She knew challenges lay ahead, but now she felt confident. She would manage it all for herself and her future child. The next morning, Mary was jolted awake by the doorbell. A courier stood at her doorstep with a large package. Mary, you have a delivery. Surprised, she accepted the parcel and signed for it. Inside was a crib accompanied by a note. Dear Mary, I know there are many unspoken things between us and a lot of hurt feelings. I'm not apologizing because I don't deserve it, but I want you to know that I am proud of you. You have grown into a strong woman despite everything I've done. This crib is a small gesture of what I owe you and your baby. I'm not asking to see you or talk to you. Just know that if you ever need help, I will always be here. Your mother, Sarah. Mary stared at the note for a long moment, unsure how to respond. Part of her wanted to toss both the crib and the letter in the trash immediately. But another part, the one that still held onto fleeting memories of her mother's love, compelled her to carefully fold the note and place it in a drawer. Maybe someday, she whispered, gently stroking her belly. Maybe your grandmother will learn how to love properly. The neighbor, who had come to help with the crib, wisely remained silent as he noticed the tears in Mary's eyes. He simply embraced her, offering silent reassurance that she was not alone. Life continued. Mary busied herself preparing for her child's arrival, working, and organizing the house. She understood that many challenges lay ahead, but now she felt ready to face them. She had support, perhaps not from the family she had envisioned, but from those who truly cared about her. Deep within, a flicker of hope remained that one day she might forgive her mother. Not for Sarah's sake, but for her own and for her child. Mary was determined that her new family would have no room for resentment or past grievances, only love, support, and understanding. Thus, in the small country house her father had given her, a new chapter in Mary's life began. a chapter filled with hope, love, and fresh opportunities.